What's up, welcome back to the channel and another episode of Informative Automotive. If this is your first time here, please do me a solid, hit that wonderful subscribe button, also like, share, and comment. Today's episode is going to be a little different. Seeing as how this is the start of a new year, 2021, we're going to be taking notice of some special cars out there. And I found a great first. On this episode, we found a rare jewel from the Mopar family. And I mean rare. Now, I found this gem while catching up on my weekly Motor Trend news, and of course I had to share it with you all. But before we get into what's really powering this beast, I want to give you some backstory on the owner and the car. This freakish Mopar didn't start out as you see it today. The owner Dave had some ideas back in 2006 to transform this into the beast that you actually see today. And Dave, he actually took ownership from his older brother Mark, who had the car since 1975. Dave's older brother Mark purchased the car when he was about 15 years old, sweeping up in a body shop. Although it was considered a total loss by the insurance company back then, it was towed up to the body shop and Mark couldn't pass up the opportunity to snag this Dodge Charger. Now, Mark did restore this car to become his daily driver. He added another fender, door, quarter panel, and some nice metallic paint. Now, Mark did turn it into a full-blown race car with the 383 under the hood. Can't go wrong with a 383. But in 1989, the Dodge Daytona decided to go with the rear-wheel drive, and then Mark decided that that was his choice. He was going there, and he put the Dodge Charger up in storage. Now let's fast forward to 2006. Now this is when Dave took ownership of the car. He had a tight budget that he had to make magic with, and he did just that. And I mean magic. He cut down the original 8 3/4 rear housing and stock axle, which removed 4 inches at the end. The brakes were also reinforced with some modified Willwood dual 4 piston calipers along with 12-inch rotors. He also stiffened the body with 2x3 steel rails, which attached the front to the rear. But when it came to the engine modifications, Dave wanted to do something different, and different is what he did. And in 2011 is when he kicked off the process. It took about a year total in order to get it to the running process. But before dropping the V10 into the 69 Charger, he did run across a couple obstacles. It's always something. He had to think about having easier access for maintenance items such as spark plugs and valve covers. The first solution was to install a complete front suspension kit from Riley Motorsports. That included QA1 shocks, 6-piston Willwood calipers, and 12-inch rotors. In addition to that, there were modified engine mounting points just to move the V10 a little bit forward. And I can't forget, Dave also added the 6-speed manual transmission with hydraulic clutch along with the Viper pedal assembly. And one of the last things that Dave had to do to keep this engine running was to wire everything up using the stock control module. And after all of that was done, Dave went out and put about 10 miles on it, but it was back in the garage for its next modification. Can you guess what that is? Yeah, the twin turbos. Now, Dave mentioned that the hardest part about this was mapping out where he wanted to install the twin turbo setup. But once that was done, the custom headers and plumbing were created and made it to the 67mm precision turbos. Now, with all of that done, there was still a limiting factor, the stock ECM. And being resourceful, Dave reached out to his buddy Bernard to help him out on the tuning side of this build. They installed a custom ECM unit from EFI Source in Boyertown, PA. And from what Dave said, he got it at a great price, but it wasn't as simple as plugging, playing, and running. But there was a major upside. They could dial in everything from a laptop. At that time, that was technology. There was some other mods added, and everything was finally buttoned up. The stock lid was still a weak link because it just couldn't seal once you cranked the boost up. So what the guys did was just added a simple plate to the setup, and it raised the height, gave it what it needed. So once Dave felt like he had everything under the hood the way he wanted it at that moment, he decided to dive into the interior. Now, most of that remained the same, minus the rear seat delete for the tubes, as well as having the roll bars, new carpet, scat front seats, and a G-Force 5-point harness. The stock instruments were swapped with a set of autometer gauges, a Grant steering wheel, and the push-button start from the Viper that was installed on the dash. And one of the most intriguing factors about this car, it has a disguised engine management computer, and it looks like an 8-track. Now, that's pretty clever. Now, Dave said that he's driving the heck out of this car, and he's not really too concerned with the paint chips and dirt and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, he's only washed it once since about 2013. He says he just blows it off with the air hose, keeps rolling. Speaking of rolling, this 69 Charger is rolling on 255 15R 17-inch tires, and those are mounted on 17x7 Rocket Racing Fuel wheels for the front. And of course, you got to have some Mickey Thompsons on it. And he has the Sportsman SR 31x18 R15s, and those are mounted on 15x15 Bogart racing wheels for the rear. Sticky Mickey is what they call them. Now, Dave mentioned a car like this is never finished. we all know in the car world, once you get going, it's a rabbit hole you go down, and it's never finished. Dave mentioned that he's a tech by trade, and his goal is to get as much power and fuel economy out of the 69 Charger. Next, he's planning on building his own suspension as well as control arms, while adding a 1LE 6th gen differential. Yeah, from the Camaro. Now I know everybody wants to know every single mod that's in this 69 Charger. There's so many there would be a whole nother video to go in detail about each one, but what I will do is I'll run the full list up the screen, but I'll mention a few to you. Let's start with the engine. It's a Viper Gen 3 8.3 liter V10 with a 4.03 bore and a 3.96 stroke, a 2005 cast aluminum block, 3 Dodge Dakota throttle bodies. Yeah, I said 3. 67mm precision turbos and custom headers. The drivetrain comes from the Viper, which is a 2005 6-speed manual transmission with hydraulic clutch. The chassis has QA1 shocks and a Raleigh Motorsports frame and suspension. Wheelwood 6-piston calipers in the front and 4-piston in the rear. And one thing I like about it, it has all the original body panels, minus the fix that his brother did. And those are coated in a nice bronze metallic paint. So after seeing that list and knowing what I've told you about this 1969 custom Dodge Charger with the V10 Viper engine swap, let me know what you think about this one. Drop it down in the comments below. Big shout out to Motor Trend for releasing this article and showing us this amazing gem from the Mopar family. And I definitely look forward to seeing what Dave does to the 69 Charger in the near future. Well, if you haven't already, please do me a solid, hit that wonderful subscribe button, also like, share, and comment. This has been the first episode of season 2 of Informative Automotive with your main man, Really Rails. And until next time, always 100, always solid.